I'm frequently asked what offense to use with the youth basketball team. Typically, if it's not described, I'm imagining a pretty young, pretty inexperienced team. And I'm currently working with an older, inexperienced team, and I know that the offense that we run doesn't matter because most of the teams that we're playing are better than us. I know that if I could teach a few different strategic things, um, you know, we'd save 2 or 4, maybe 6 points a game, but we still wouldn't be close. So spending time getting them to understand how to defend, a cross screen and an out of bounds play at some point in their development is probably important. But when we still struggle to dribble and shoot and make layups and so forth, to me, those are the more important issues. So if I'm going to worry about whether or not to put in an offense with the youth team, that's kind of my first question: is how skilled are we? Are they skilled enough to really be able to use some form of offense? And that's going to depend on, again, in youth basketball, what ages we're talking about, and how much experience do they have. If it's a first year team, there's really no offense that's going to be that successful, just because the players are just learning how to pass, dribble, shoot, make layups, etc. And if you devote a lot of time to trying to memorize some play in practice, that's time spent that's not used to develop these skills. So my advice would be to, use that practice time to develop the skills, and then kind of hope for the best in terms of the offense in the games, or maybe show something very simple, give and goes. That's all we work on with my team is, pass cut and see if we can try to get the return pass, and if not, somebody fills behind. And that's as deep as we go in terms of offensive strategy. And so if the players have a little bit more skill or a little bit more experience, so they're still a youth team, but they're not beginners, then we can talk about maybe what type of offense is going to fit with the players that we have. How competitive is this team? What are the goals of the team? Are the goals to learn? Are the goals to develop their technical skills? Are the goals to teach them how to play basketball? Are the goals to win games? And ultimately, answering these questions is going to kind of dictate which offense I might choose or I might use with a certain team. I've have probably 2 books out that are based around offensive systems. Blitz basketball I would tend to use with younger teams, especially when I want to really emphasize technical skill development, shooting, layups, and dribbling especially. That's what we used it for when I coached younger players and started to implement what became Blitz basketball. The focus was we just wanted to develop good players, and give them a little bit of a framework on offense, but really concentrate on developing the players. Then, as they got older, then they could worry about teaching tactical skills and strategy and so on and so forth. My Saba book is more how to play basketball, in my opinion. So how once we have some skill, how can we play basketball? How can we create shots for one another? What's kind of the philosophy behind our offense? So it's not a specific offense, but it's kind of the philosophy, and it's kind of how to teach how to play offense generically. And then you can kind of fit that within whatever specific system that you want to play. Whether that's simply just pass and cut and fill motion type offense, or if you want to get a little bit more structured. So again, to me, there's no one answer. As with most things, to me, it depends on what your goals are, and who you're working with. Who are you coaching? What are they able to do? How important is strategy at this point? If we don't have skills, to me, there's not a lot of reason to really focus on strategy. So we want to develop skills. Probably need some technical skills first, then we need to start to develop some tactical skills, some game intelligence, some understanding of how to play basketball. And once we have some of those, not mastered, but have some consistency, we're able to pass and catch without it, bouncing off our feet every time. We're able to dribble the ball. We're able to pass off a dribble. We're able to, shoot a layup and make a certain percentage. Then we can start to worry about what strategies or what systems we want to employ. And at that point, again, if we really want to reinforce the technical skills, I like, my blitz basketball or something like that, dribble, drive, motion, derivative, something that gets the ball in the hands at practice from ball in players' hands at practice the majority of the time. So we're not standing around, we're not spending a lot of time in 5-on-0, but we're spending most of the time with players having balls in their hands, working on passing, shooting, and dribbling. And then if I want to teach players how to play basketball from a generic standpoint that should fit with any kind of offense, that's when I use Saba. And that's when we really focus on what's an advantage, how to create an advantage, what do we do with an advantage. What do we do on a catch, what do we do off the dribble, what are we trying to create. And those are more general questions. And typically that's probably going to take players that have a little bit more technical skill to be able to, and a little bit more game experience to be able to handle and understand those questions. So for beginner team, probably not appropriate. I haven't even mentioned anything from my Saba book with the team that I'm coaching right now, and it's because they're simply not experienced enough to really make sense of it. So maybe after a year or two, with more experience, then we can start to implement those concepts. But initially, we're going to start with more kind of blitz basketball type ideas, try to get them the technical skills and some game experience, and then hopefully expand from there in the future.